Hey, Scooter.
Yeah.
I can see your fingers. We live. Whatever. Good evening, everyone. I'm Sean Rucker. I'm the owner of SportBike Chic. And today on our Get to Know series, we have Scooter as my co-host, the one with all the little fingers and everything going on over there. And then we also have Two Guns. So just to kind of give you a little bit more background. So we're doing this in preparation for the BUDS event in September. So every year BUDS is actually having a typical event. You know, you go to the event, you do the ride, you do all the fellowship. But this year, because of COVID, we're actually doing a little bit something different, right? So instead of actually having the ride and everything, we're just going to have a virtual event. So this is actually giving you an opportunity to get to know some of these faces, some of the panelists prior to logging on in September. All right, so without further ado, let me make sure I have all my settings and everything okay. And then we're going to go ahead and get right started. Okay, perfect. So Scooter, you want to tell everybody about yourself a little bit?
Ain't too much to tell. Been riding motorcycles for about a long time. Do a lot of riding. Known out there for the acknowledgement of the riding, the safety, the touring. A lot of history in the sport bike world as well. I do teach the motorcycle classes, both the basic rider course, the basic rider course 2, the advanced riders course, the sport bike riders course, and I'm a trainer. I average around 40 to 50,000 miles a year. Knocked out all 50 states, 9 out of 10 provinces of Canada and Mexico. Do a lot in the motorcycle community, both the riding community, the MC world, and in just the local community. Giving back and passing on information and knowledge is what I love to do.
So is that safe to say that you're a rider?
I'm a rider, motorcyclist, biker, whichever category you want to play today, that's the category I'll fall in.
Fair enough. Excellent. Now we have our guest today, and that's Two Guns. Two Guns, can you tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
I mean, I trailer my bike everywhere.
Oh,
don't tell a lie. Don't tell a lie.
Wow, I mean, the story starts like 1978. I mean, that's really when I got involved in riding, and my uncle brought a little mini bike, and we was working on it half the day, and I got a chance to get on it. I ran right into a damn fence, and that was it. I was in love after that. So I started riding in, and I did a lot of my initial riding in motocross. So I did a lot of racing and things like that. Naturally transitioned into sports bikes. So my first bike was a 1987 Hurricane 1000. I mean, like, when I say that, people are like, don't know what that is, but it's
hey,
old school.
Even a ninja runs from a Hurricane.
And I just started riding in, you know, I mean, it was no crash course or nothing like that. I just got out there and rode, and I rode by myself. You know, I really just said, I'm going to get up and down the roads. And I was a young kid, so I didn't really have cars and things like that. I mean, I was just joining the military, so that was really my transportation. So, you know, we were stationed, or we were up in Virginia, and actually the ship was down in South Carolina. So that's what I did. I just ran up and down the coast so much, just got used to it. So over the years, I mean, 30 plus riding, almost damn near 40. I don't even know how long. I mean, just been on it for a while. So I love it. I've always loved it. It's been something that's always fascinated me, because my family, you know, were a part of it. So it made it easy to transition into it. And that's really my start and how I kind of got into this. And I mean, casket will drop, and I'm going to be trying to ride the casket out of there.
That's the way you do it.
Yeah. So first question I ask everybody. So Two Guns, what do you bring to the table?
I mean, that's like a loaded question. I would address knowledge, because I mean, I tell the story. I was talking with a gentleman last night. He came by the house, got a chance to break bread, and he told me one of the things he appreciates about me is I'm always a student in the game, and I always want to learn in the game, even as I am considered in some circles as, you know, an educator or a teacher or mentor. And I told him, I said, look, you know, when it comes down to it, I started out as a little kid washing bikes. That's what I did. And everybody would ask me, yeah, we'll give you money, how much you charge. And I used to tell them, like, just give me some information. I want to know your life and how you do things. And, you know, they would, after a while, it kind of became a joke about me washing bikes, because they was just like, here's this little kid, and he got more knowledge than some of these guys that got 15 years on the set, but he knows more about the MC community and the MC actual culture than these guys that ride every day. And it was just because I was so hungry for knowledge. I was really thirsty. I just wanted to learn. And so every place I went, I always took my bucket, always had my soap, always had that 4-aught steel wool, so you can clean that chrome. Like, a lot of people don't understand that. You know, that's something that anybody that understands cleaning chrome, always had that steel wool so you can clean that chrome up. And guys appreciated that, and they would joke and laugh about it. And that was really what I did as a child, and it continued as I evolved in this MC thing. I never talked, I just listened. So when you come into an area, and even today, you walk in a bar, you may not even know I'm there, because I'm not loud. I'm not that person that's an extrovert. I'm the guy that's probably sitting back in the back of the corner, just listening and hearing what everybody's doing, because I like to call myself a student of the game, because everything that I learn and everything you learn is just an experience of your life and what you go through. And so when you take in information and you can talk to people and you can listen to what people are saying, it makes you more knowledgeable in your approach, so that when it does come time for you to actually open your mouth, you got something to say other than some BS, you know? So that's what I bring to the table. Is I'm an historian, I'm a traditionalist. I believe in old school protocol. I think that we've gotten away from it, and I'm here to, you know, just give people a different perspective of how things was done back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, because it is a big separation between getting on the road with a map that's this big and having a phone that you can just put in a Google and you can get there. So there's a real separation between those two worlds. So that's why I'm here.
And that's a mouthful, so to speak. So that said, you sit back in the cut for a little bit, but what you're doing right now, your platform, it doesn't sound like you kind of sit back a lot. You have a lot to say and you're actually really vocal about it. So what is your platform like then? How do you kind of translate from there to where you are now?
Well, that's what the weird thing is. It's like I got the capes, I guess, like, you know, different capes, because when you see me in person, I'm really not the person that's behind the screen talking. I'm really not like that. I'm easier at home here talking than I am in personal, because when you come in my personal, now you're in my space. So until I trust you, I don't really feel comfortable enough with you until I trust you. Now, and that's, I would say that's one of the things that people have said, is they feel like, you know, Two Guns is unapproachable. And I'm like, y'all don't even know me. Like, so, but then when I actually get out into the thing, and my people tell me, like, man, you're really unapproachable. You don't realize, like, you sit there with a scowl on your face, you look like you're ready to whoop somebody. And I'm like, no, it's not that. It's just, I'm ex-military. I've served in a couple wars. I just have that demeanor that I carry about myself. But with the platform, again, it's easier for me to get behind the screen. It's easier for me to write, because I can actually put that out there. And I've had an opportunity in my past to be in front of the screen. I mean, playing basketball, for some reason or another, I was always a highlight person they come and have a conversation with. I mean, it was just like, get somebody else. I'm tired of doing this. And it got to the point where I kind of understood at one point how some of, like, you know, I'm not saying Michael Jordan, I'm Michael Jordan, but I understand how some of those people feel when you're in the spotlight and you can't even go to the mall, or you can't even go to eat. And somebody's like, yeah, I know you played for Montana State. And I'm like, okay, but I'm just trying to eat my meal and give me a break. So I guess in some terms, maybe that was where I kind of pushed back on it. But I think my voice, when you get an opportunity to know me, is a little different. So once I feel comfortable with you, then we can talk and we can communicate, and you'll actually get a chance to hear me or talk to me. And it just takes a little bit to get past, I guess maybe onions, that's a good analogy, is I'm layers or something like that. But, or maybe I'm like a, what do you call it, those, you got the sweet on the outside with the chocolate in the middle, you got the inside to get that. So maybe that's what it is. But I mean, you know, the platform has been my labor of love, and being able to actually get out and speak with people, and then have an avenue to give people on the page a voice, because there are some pages that really don't allow voice. They don't allow for people to have their own opinion. And the second that you have an opinion, or you feel, you know, some way you want to give your opinion, or you want to give your thoughts on the matter, you know, you're attacked. And I mean, that's one thing on the page is not allowed. And it's great because I've been able to bring people to the page that understand that, respect that. And, you know, they get on separate pages or different pages, and they're on other protocol pages. And they always come back and they say, you know, we appreciate what you do here because we do have a voice and we feel like we can be heard.
So you obviously understand that the Buzz Foundation is about, you know, motorcycle riding, the community, supporting families and of those deceased or injured. We do a lot with the motorcycle safety and the community on the outside as well. How do you feel that your platform is important to the motorcycle community? How do you think that it applies?
Well, it applies because it's, you know, I mean, right now we're building. So, you know, we started off at 200, probably at 250. I guarantee I only had about maybe 30 people. I mean, I did a check one time and put up the, if you're here, check in. And there was maybe about 30 people that checked in during that time frame. And over the time, it got to about 295. But now we're at 12,000 people. And it's not, you know, it's necessarily not 12,000 people that's on the page, but we definitely have a good number of people that come to the page. And that direct reflection allows for that social media platform to be able to give a direct information concerning, like when a rider goes down, or when there's an issue or problem within the community, and we're trying to get some information out there. So it's a great platform to be able to put that information out there. And one of the things, I mean, I worked with Diamond and some of the, you know, processes that she was doing in terms of helping out families. And that was where, you know, coming into North Carolina, I was proud to be a part of that, because I'm that rider. I've been down, and luckily I've walked away from, you know, 3 times going down. But there's people that didn't and haven't, and then there's people that have lost limbs. And I was a part of one of those. One of my brothers lost his leg and his arm. And so Diamond was able to actually come in through the foundation and be able to help them. I mean, it was inspirational, because that's what we need in the motorcycle community. And anybody that has ever heard me talk, the only thing that I stress and I really talk about is the motorcycle community. And we have to be able to help each other, give back to each other, be there with each other in times of need and in times when it's good, because that's where I think as the community we fail each other. Is we have to come together when it's the hard times, not when we're doing a fish fry. You know, I mean, yeah, having a fish fry is fine, having a party is fine. You know, I tell you, you have something that is helping people and helping people, and you look at your responses from that, and it's not what it should be. But you let it be a bikini bike wash, or you let it be like, you know, a pool party. And I mean, you got to beat people away with sticks. And that's how it should be with these community events, where we are trying to help out the community in terms of families and things like that. It could just be the smallest of things like going to a school to, you know, like in an area that's, you know, maybe a really rough area, but just go to the school and let the kids see, man, this is your life. This is what your life can be. And giving back is something that is dear in my heart. It's always been dear in my heart, because I think that's really what defines us as people, is giving back when we have. Because I've been that kid that didn't have. I've been the kid that, you know, we lived in an apartment complex that had a toilet, had a community toilet, and you had to take your toilet seat down and put it on the toilet. I mean, like, I lived in those environments, and I didn't have, and I was able to, you know, like through the MC community, through the motorcycle community, I would go to any event like in the parks, and I always had a plate of food, you know, and that's important for us to give to the next generation of kids that are coming up right now, because they will be the next generation of riders. My daughter and my sons will be the next generation, and we've got to be the role models by having these types of events that are more like foundationally, they're more powerful than a pool party. It's just saying, you know.
Mm-hmm. So with your son and daughter, how do you see them kind of evolving into this whole motorcycle world? Do you see, do you see them riding or not?
Yeah. I mean, I've got two that it isn't a question. They'll be in this. It's not a question. They absolutely love motorcycles. I had to get my son away from one because he was already was looking at a sports bike, and I told him, I said, look, man, you're 16. You got to give me some time on that one. You know, I can't have you on a sports bike at 16. I'm going to go and try to teach him, you know, just kind of, you know, train him or whatever it is about some of the pitfalls when you ride. But my 13-year-old, my daughter, my youngest, it isn't a question. She's going to be a motorcycle rider. And I think maybe that's why my platform is the way my platform is because I don't ever want my daughter to not have the, you know, the availability to be able to be a rider, be a biker, be whatever she wants to be. And in some circles, people try to take that away from, you know, or try to take that away from her. I'm going to have a problem with that, because she deserves to be able to have that opportunity to be able to get out there and ride her motorcycle and enjoy life the same way I did and the same way everybody else should. And there shouldn't be anybody that's discouraging her from being a part of that or being a process of that. But I mean, I hate to say it, but my daughter probably be the first one to just whoop some. I mean, she's just, she don't play, but she loves it. And it's just hard because every time I come home, she's, you know, like, if I legitimately leave my keys anywhere near my motorcycle, she will be on it down the road. And, you know, just like, baby, you got to have a helmet on, you got to have on pants. And I teach her all the safety factors of anybody that gets on my motorcycle. I don't care who you are. You get on my motorcycle, you got boots on, you got jeans on, you got a long sleeve shirt on or a shirt on, you're going to have protection. You're going to have a helmet. You're not going to get on my bike without having those on. So I don't even worry about going to like a Myrtle, you know, Black Bike Week or any of those other ones, having some hoochie jumping on my, I hate to say it like that, but have somebody jumping on my bike. Because I tell them straight up, nah, it don't happen that way. So if you want to come and ride with me, get suited and booted, and we'll worry about it after that, because I don't allow that on my motorcycle. I never have. And this, I'm talking, I have never, people, I would tell you this, I have never allowed somebody to get on my motorcycle without being suited or booted to this day. And it pisses people off. You can be upset all you want to, but you're going to be suited and booted if you get on my bike. Simple as that.
I salute you on that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So with your platform, I mean, you say that you're not the type of person that likes to, you know, get on screen and talk and stuff, but you're doing it right now. So we're gonna keep it rolling. Where do you see? Obviously, we know there's always changes. You know I've struggled with it and had a little pushback on both sides, and I'm sure you have too. You know, with how the motorcycle community and different traditions and protocols are in place. You know, the world's changing, right? And we do have to stay up with the times, but some things you know are traditional and have a history for it and a reason for it. where do you see that taking your platform in the future? And how willing are you going to be able to adapt?
Well, I mean, like when I talk about with tradition and protocol, it's adaptable, because the main concept of tradition and protocol that I learned was respect. I mean, that you don't have to, you know, the Google doesn't do anything with respect. The internet don't do nothing with respect. None of the things that I address and I talk about have anything to do with transitional stuff through internet, through, you know, technology and things like that. The concept of tradition and protocol, first and foremost, starts out with respect. I told somebody one time this, and this is something that my uncle told me, and I've always lived my life by this. He told me no matter what you do in terms of time, and he says, as time goes by and as we, you know, he says, when you get older, whatever it is, he says, always preach this, always say this, always talk about this. It starts with respect. And if you don't have the respect, then that initially is what you have to work on, and getting people to understand that respect is always going to be your foundation. That's what holds up everything. And then, you know, like another thing he used to always joke about was the funniest thing about being a biker and being in an MC and being a part of this life is it's easy, it's common sense. And once you become understanding of how easy it is and how much common sense there is in this, he says, then you can transition. It's easy across the board because it's all common sense. Common sense says, don't cut into a group of bikes. That's common sense. I would tell you that. You don't need to know about MC protocol and tradition to know don't cut into a group of bikes.
It's the same
thing. Go ahead.
It's the same thing that I try to tell people. You know, it's like you said, common sense, but it's also man rules 101. You know, it's what it boils down to. You know, how you carry yourself and being a man or a lady, SV over there giving me the eye, or the lady that you're supposed to be, you know, be a gentleman or a lady and carry yourself accordingly, and you'll be all right. And common sense, but we know common sense isn't common, so your platform helps make it common.
Yeah, and like secondary things you look at, you know, like the basic traditions and protocols you would address. You know, one of the traditions or one of the protocols would be, you know, when you come up and you're introducing yourself, you introduce your name. I mean, some circles are different. And this is where you would look at a protocol and transition. It kind of, depending on what you're talking about, you could be talking about a 99 and Outlaw Club and Outlaw Clubs and 99 Clubs. They deal directly with club names, you know, your club name. Whereas, you know, in other circles, mom and pops areas or whatever it is, they may deal with their first names. You know, they may not have a rider's name. They may have the first name. And so those type of scenarios, but the introduction is typically going to be the same. You know, take your glove off, shake hands. It's considered disrespectful to shake somebody's hands with a glove on. I mean, that's a transition that goes not just MC, it goes across the board, you know, and that's something that as just a regular ordinary civilian, in terms of that, you always shake, you know, somebody's hand, you take your glove off. You know, the same thing with glasses and things like that. If you're going to talk to somebody, take your shades off. You know, you always want to talk to somebody. I mean, unless you're FBI or Secret Service. But, you know, it's like, you know, you always take your shades off so people can, and those are just small types of traditions and protocols that are there. It transitions across, you know, not just MC stuff. And then those are some of the stuff that I like to try to bring back. But then, you know, like the Guardian Bells are stuff that I like to bring back. Those are traditions, you know, the white wolf. And sometimes people are like, well, the white wolf, yeah, it's like when you're driving and you know it's time for you to shut down and you see something in the middle of the road, you're like, oh, it don't have to be a wolf, it could just be anything. And those are some of the older, you know, like you would say folklore and things like that I like to share because it's informative. Because naturally in the MC, you're going to have what your MC does, your area does, things that you have, but there's always going to be those extra things that you can learn and you can get information from. I went to California, I just did a coast to coast, and I got a chance to talk with a guy, man, named CP, man. I mean, he's got 45 years. I mean, I'm sitting with a legend from the Defiant Ones. And anybody that knows the Defiant Ones, I'm sitting there with a legend. I mean, talking 1978, man. He started riding when I was just, you know, I was on my mini bike. And you know what I'm saying? I mean, like I was 12 at that time, you know, and so he started riding. That's when he joined the MC. Now he joined the MC a little later in life. So he didn't, you know, so he kind of joined when he was in his mid-20s. So he had been riding since he was 18. And, you know, I just said, hey, man, tell me about your time, you know, and he broke it down. He says, you know, what we see today is not how it was back in the day. He says, back in the day, it was all about getting together, hanging out with different people, different groups. He said, everybody got together. He said, it wasn't no, this group is that group, this group is that. You can't hang out with this person, you can't do this. He said, all the politics that we have in today's MC community, we didn't have those. Everybody hung out together. He said, because you have to realize as bikers, I say this all the time, we were the anomaly. We were dirtbags. We were trash. We were the scum of the earth in the 1970s and the 80s. And even riding across the states in the 80s, you could tell the difference between that and 2020 when everybody's like, hey, how you doing? How's it going? Blah, blah, blah. 87, they was looking at you like, man, get out of here, you know? And that's where my platform is, I talk about that. And I talk about it because I rode it. I talk about it because I was there on that highway. I talk about 1980s because I rode in the 80s. I rode in the 90s in California and in South Carolina, all the way up to New York, across the United States twice. So I can talk about that because I did it. You can talk about it all you want to, you know, reading Wikipedia, all the rest of that, but you can't talk about outside of Dallas, Texas. If you get so far out of Dallas, Texas in 1988, once you left outside of Dallas, Texas, and you got on the outskirts of Dallas, Texas, if you got into the actual highway or got into Texas, you literally would run out of gas before you got to the next gas station because all the gas stations shut down at about 10 o'clock. So if you don't know that in 1988 and you got on the bike and you kept going, you know, outside of Fort Worth, because at the time Fort Worth wasn't Fort Worth, it was a real small section. And if you got outside of Fort Worth, naturally you was basically out there. And those are things that I can tell people because I was there and I actually did that. I can tell people about going through the Death Valley where it says last gas. And if your ass don't take that gas can with you, you might not make it. And that's where, you know, that's the history and the stories that need to be presented. And a lot of the older guys are just not doing it. And it kind of comes back to what you asked is, a lot of the older guys are just not internet, they're not tech savvy. And so you've got to go find them. And that's what my concern is for this internet platform is you used to have to go find them. Now you can see them on the screen.
Mm-hmm. So what's the difference, you know, between then and now? Obviously you have social media, you have, you know, millennials, you have a generational shift. What's the difference between then and now in terms of?
It's become monetary. It's really become monetary. And that's what is the separation between today and then. You've got organizations that are making thousands and thousands, close to, you know, like $10, $15, $20,000 per event on top. I mean, that's profit. And that's not something that we just didn't do that. I mean, if you went to a motorcycle event, you were in the middle of a field, you better bring something because you were laying in the grass or you were laying on your bike. You had to pack for camping. You had to pack to sleep on the ground. You know, it was unheard of you going to a town and getting a hotel room, because if you were a biker and they saw you ride up on your bike, it was like going to like Myrtle Beach in some time frames and how they've addressed Myrtle Beach. Oh, we're closed, no vacancies. And that's how it was in the latter part of the 80s is, you know, and this is another one. A trucker told me one day, because I was sleeping in the truck stop, and he asked me, why are you sleeping in the truck stop? I said, because I done went to like 2 hotels and they won't let me in. You know, they're basically like, nah, we don't take bikers. We don't allow that. And he said, yeah, what you got to do is you park down the street, you walk up like he was driving out there and get your room, and then you pull your bike up and they can't do anything about it after that. And I was like, hey man, thank you. It's like, thank you. Because I was finding that I was hitting spots, especially in like New Mexico and Arizona, where they wouldn't give you a room if you were a biker, and they really didn't want you at their hotels. And so, you know, those are some of the things that I would say is the change is it was today we are glorified. I say that loosely, but people want to ride motorcycles. I mean, look, I'm so happy because I love this. I love motorcycle. I mean, I love being a biker. I love riding. I love to see what we have now. But it's just like, it's a joke. You know, I always say this, it's a joke. I say, I was a biker before it became popular.
Right.
And it's like, I'm waiting for it to downsize and the real riders come in, because we've had that huge rise, and it'll peak itself and it'll start coming down. But if you just look at the nature of motorcycling, it's become big business. It's become such a big business that in order for you to get a stereo on your bike, just a basic stereo on your bike now, you could potentially be paying $1,200 to $2,000 for a basic stereo that would cost you $500 if you got it in your car, and you could probably get a bunch of other things. You're talking about tires that is $3,000. You're talking about ape hangers that's $1,200 installed. It's become a huge business. And I kind of equate that back to the chopper, Orange County choppers, and customization of motorcycles. And so that brought a large contingency of people into this lifestyle that don't have a clue about this lifestyle. They don't know about the history of this lifestyle. They don't understand about riding from California to New Mexico, 55 miles an hour in the heat, and you're on a hardtail. They don't know nothing about that. and that's, you know, you're on a chopper. You know, you're on a bike that, you know, you've literally got to take your oil cap off and pour oil in your tank while you're riding down the road, or you know, fill your gas tank up with gas that you got. Those are the lessons and the knowledge that they don't have today because it's become so commercialized. You know, I mean, I ride a trike now because of my back. And I tell you what, I'm ready to put a DVD on there. And if I can get some cruise control, I'm just like, look, I'm going to be watching movies. I'm waiting for that time frame to come where, you know, look, they get those things and you can just let go. Hey, I'm just like this. I'm just going to be watching a movie. Have me a little, you know, have me some drinks or whatever it is and enjoy my time riding around. But, you know, that's where we've come. You know, and that's the biggest transition is our life back in the 80s, 90s was probably one of the greatest time frames to be a biker, 70s, 80s, and 90s, because it was the formulation of what we do today. And there was so much we did wrong. I did so much wrong. There was so much that we did right. And you learn from the wrongs and you learn from the rights. And that's what I think I try to pass down is learn from my mistakes, but make your own mistakes, because you can't live my life and you can't walk in my shoes because I wear 15s and that's your feet big. You can't do that. But I look at it like walking, you know, you can look at my footprints, but walking your own path, you know, and that way you bring something back to us and you give something to the next generation. Because if you've walked in my footsteps, you don't know your path. You've got to be able to walk in your own footsteps so you can give that next generation your path and they can make their own path. And that's my message to the community, to try to make them understand that historically this is how we did business, but it is a new transition. So learn from the history, but adapt and move forward with what we're dealing with in terms of technology, bikes, everything. I mean, it's just a different life, you know. It is, you know.
I'm gonna tell you like this, you know, we're definitely looking forward to when we do the large panel with everybody on there. I know myself personally, you know, obviously you and I have talked. We've met in person before. You know, had a brief conversation there. I was actually in your neck of the woods. getting the job done, trying to get back here on the motorcycle in time for this, coming out of your neck of the woods.
Okay.
But I look forward to us having, sitting down. We see eye to eye, and we say a lot of the same things out here in this motorcycle community, passing a lot of the same knowledge and information. We both have the same background for the most part. So I look forward personally to chopping it up with you on a personal level, and definitely look forward to chopping it up with you when we have this large panel coming up here.
Definitely.
I think you're going to bring a lot to the table, a lot of knowledge to the table, especially what your platform has done for the motorcycle community.
Yeah.
I know your organization and your platform both has helped out Bud's Foundation, not once, not twice, but numerous times.
Yeah.
And the Bud's Foundation definitely appreciate it. I appreciate it. I know SV and SportBike, they definitely appreciate it as well. But thank you for everything that you have done thus far. I know we still got a lot of work to do, both preparing for this panel, as well as in this motorcycle community, because we're only gonna make it better, and passing the information along, the knowledge and the support, like you said, the support, supporting one another, and getting out there and getting from away from the computer, getting on your iron and going to actually, meet some people and chop it up and exchange stories. It's no fun talking about, well, I talked to this person on Facebook. I
mean, I've got people that I've talked to on Facebook since 2012, around that time frame when I really kind of came into the platform. I ain't never met them, and we know each other like we know each other. Like we just like chop it up like we've been knowing each other for 30 years. And we ain't never actually shook hands. But first, to be honest, I just met his guy. I mean, I ain't gonna name drop him, but he's out there in LA. He gives me he hooks me up with them Cuban cigars all the time. And when I went to California, I didn't even realize it, because we've been so cool with each other for so many years that I was like, I got back, I was like, man, that was the first time I ever met him, like face to face, and so it's like, it was just weird that this has allowed for this concept of non-reality. I would say non-reality, because it goes back to what I said is, you got to get out there on your iron. You got to get out there and be a part of this. And, that's one of the things that I'm against. And one of the things that I have a real big problem with is false prophets and people that are out there talking about or trying to, give their information or whatever it is, but you have a secondary background. You really don't have the background to do that. And I take that with a grain of salt, because in the same essence as that person may be able to provide something positive to the community. As long as they're providing something positive to the community, then what's wrong with that element and what's wrong with that concept? And that's where social media blends in with motorcycling. I don't necessarily agree with it. It's weird. I mean, I know SV's said it. I can get on here and BS, I can get on here and talk, I can get on and do this. I really don't believe in this platform in terms of the internet and in terms of doing this. I've always believed that the only way you're going to learn is by getting on your iron and actually meeting up with people and getting the opportunity to be able to break bread with them. And that's where you learn those small little details that nobody else knows about, that you know about. When you start talking about it, people looking at you like, what are you talking about? Okay, don't worry about it. When you get out there on your iron, you're going to learn it.
It'll come to you right away.
Yeah, that's one of the things that, in terms of that. But in terms of Buds, I mean, I just applaud you guys again, because it's so important for us to be able to give back. I think that's one of the things that gets lost in this. It gets lost in the communities is too many fish fries and not enough fish fries that are going to help other individuals. And so we try to, as my nation tries to go to events that are specific to helping out community. It's not about, oh, we're just going to hang out or going to this and that. We really actually target events that are about helping the community out. And sometimes we'll come with a lot of people, sometimes we'll send a representative. It just depends on kind of what's going on and what's going about. But some of the bigger events, we try to actually present a very large presence, because we want people to know that we care about what happens in the MC community. Because as the, as a 1%er, we are we are the governors in terms of, you know, and I say that loosely. I want people to understand it isn't like we're the all, the be all, and blah, 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 whatever it is. But in the hierarchy of this MC thing, we would be in the higher platforms and higher things. And what I try to teach one percenters and outlaws is don't take that for granted. Make sure that you understand the responsibilities that you have to come back to your community and give to your community. Because if you're just in your community and being a one percenter and being a tyrant, then you are actually being, or, you know, it's destructive to the community. And so you should be giving back to the community. You should actually be the representative that is promoting and pushing events like this that give back to the community as the leaders, because there's nothing worse than having a tyrant, nothing worse than having somebody that doesn't care. And the community is going to know, and they're going to start to talk about it. And inevitably, you're going to lose the community, and you're going to lose the ability to be able to provide those services because you're not providing them with at least education, understanding, and then being a part of, you know, like events like this that come about and showing the community that, hey, we care. And that's what it should be about. As outlaws and one percenters, we've got to do a better job at that.
Awesome. So one more question for you. So what kind of legacy do you hope to leave from you, your platform, your history, all the stuff that you constantly share? What do you expect? What do you want people to remember you by?
I really don't care how they remember me.
Come on.
I mean, I really don't get into that in terms of hoping or wishing that people are gonna remember me or be. And I know you didn't say that, but understand how my mindset is.
Fair enough.
If I look at it and somebody's talking about, hey man, you remember Two Guns? You know, this is a long time from now, knock on wood. But you know, 50 years from now, 60 years from now, you remember Two Guns? That dude Two Guns? Like, oh yeah, I heard about him. You know, what was that guy like? That guy was a traditionalist. He believed in the community. He believed in giving back to the community. He believed in keeping it 100 all the time. And he was probably the most direct person that you will ever come about, but he's probably the most diverse person in terms of listening to what you had to say and actually taking that into account. I think that's what I would want people to remember me by, as I was an educator, I was a mentor, I was somebody that you could come and have a conversation with, and I wouldn't look down on you because of your knowledge. I was a person that you had to find in a bar somewhere over in the corner, and if you got a drink, we could talk for hours. I mean, that's what I want. But in terms of legacies and things like that, I've never been a part of that. I'm probably one of the most humble people. I know maybe it doesn't seem like that to people, but I'm probably one of the most humble people you ever come about, because it's just kind of a grain of salt. I take it with a grain of salt. You know, I'm just as excited to meet a new person as they probably are maybe to meet me. You know, people, hey, Two Guns, what's up, man? Hey, what up, dog? You know, I mean, I'm probably just the same way. And I think that's always kept me level. It's always kept me humble to who I was and the origins that I've come from. And I'll be the first to tell people I had a really rough life. I had a really rough beginning. And it ain't how you start your journey, it's how you finish your journey. And along the way, if you're not taking these valuable lessons that you learn along the way with you, then you'll fail as a man in this world. And I say a man because I'm a man, but you'll fail as a man. And in this world, there's two things that I don't ever want to fail, or two things that I don't want to ever do. And one, that's fail. And the second one is, I don't want to fail my community as a Black man in this community and as a Black man in this world.
Well, I think those are the reasonable legacies and expectations. I think of what you're doing on the platform and different things. I think that's really impactful for the community, especially for our new riders that are coming in, just getting into the MC world. So I appreciate all that you're doing. Of course, your support for the B.U.D Foundation. And I guess Scooter, any final words, final thoughts from you?
No, make sure you go to the website, check out the B.U.D Foundation website, Facebook page, stay abreast of what's going on. Check out Two Guns platform on Facebook as well. I think he's gonna start using a little bit of YouTube Live from our previous conversation.
Yeah, we're gonna take. I'm gonna probably take MC 101. It's MC 101 tradition and protocol. We're gonna probably take that to a YouTube platform. I just have to work out it. I mean, I got my man cave. I'm actually getting ready to expand it. I was joking about it, but I'm actually really considering setting it up as, you know, riders can come through and basically just kind of, you know, if you're in the area, come through, man, and we'll do a live cast, do a video, kind of like Big Tigger or whatever it is. But it's, you know, I feel like looking at it, it's a nice platform to be able to, you know, like a rider comes into town, he has an opportunity to come in and just sit down and have a conversation, and we can just kind of, you know, like do some things. I mean, Big Sale kind of, you know, put it in my ear and like show me how the platform works. And I think that's a great concept, to be able to have people that can stop by and just break bread or whatever it is and communicate. It would be great to have some OGs be able to stop by and communicate, because one of the things I think that is needed in this world right now is we've got to get the OGs out of the dark shadows, out of their, you know, out of their loungers and chairs, and some of them are in wheelchairs, and we need to roll their ass out. Oh, sorry, I don't think I'm out in the spotlight. And get that information out there. Let those guys, let them talk. You know, let them talk. I want to hear them. When I got a chance to see, you know, talk to CP, man, I mean, 45 years in the game, let him talk, you know, hear what he has to say, because 20 years from now, there won't be the CPs, you know, 40 years from now, 50 years from now, there won't be the two guns. You know, we've got to grab these old heads and get them into the spotlight so their voice can be heard, and we don't lose that knowledge, because that's real important for us not to lose our history. And that's important for us to understand as bikers and as motorcycle community. We have a history, a very, very rich history, and we can't lose it.
That's right. Well, we appreciate everything that you do. I know from the top of the Buzz Foundation, Tracy, she definitely appreciates it as well. I know she's got a smile on her face. SV is trying to keep a solid face, but I'll smile. I don't care. You know, I ain't that hard of a person, but we definitely appreciate everything that you do. We look forward to having the conversations with you and the others as well. And please keep doing what you're doing. If you need any support from us, let us know as well, because just like you support us, we'll support you as well, you know. So
All right.
It's a twofold thing. It goes both ways. But we don't want to tie up all your time and everyone else's time. We know for some people it's a spare of the moment thing. So we definitely appreciate that. And we'll be in contact with you here soon if SV don't have nothing else to say.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate the platform, and you know, thank you for what you guys do from the bottom of my heart. I mean, it's very important for more people to get involved in it, and to actually become more you know, vocal in this in terms of being able to help the motorcycle community out. And that's where it's at. I mean, I applaud the foundation. I applaud what you guys do, because it's definitely one of the factors that we need to be more attentive to.
I say I'm gonna have to put a Panthers memorabilia up here to combat the Raiders.
All right, everyone, we're going to go ahead and start shut this down before they get even more excited about this whole football deal. But at the same time, check us out. All our stuff is available. All the other videos are available on our SportBike Chic channel. You can also check out our platform, www.sportbikechic.com. And of course, the Buds Foundation. We want to make sure that you are all prepped up for this for our virtual event coming up in September. So thank you, everyone, for joining, and ride safe. Take care. Bye-bye.
Yeah.